The huge room felt cold and unfriendly. Tall beings with insect-like shells, others like glowing jellyfish, and many more strange shapes filled the floating seats. This was the big group of space nations, the place Earth had hoped to join as an equal. Daniel Shaw, a thin man with tired eyes from too much work, sat beside Lisa Perez. Lisa stood very straight, her face like stone, wearing the dark blue uniform of Earth's Space Force. They were Earth's voice here. A tall being with gray skin and no hair spoke. Its voice sounded everywhere. Resolution 7 Gamma is presented. Subject: Earth. Proposed action: full resource and labor conscription. Reason: species assessed as higher risk, unpredictable, and possessing dangerous potential. Vote begins now. By one. Lights flashed above the floating seats. A loud "Y" came from a giant lizard creature. I said a floating cloud of light. I boomed a creature made of rock. Daniel felt sick. Lisa's hand tightened into a fist on the table. They watched the lights flash green for yes. Green, 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 ... everywhere green. Only one small furry being's light stayed yellow for no vote. That was it. Almost everyone said yes. The gray-skinned leader spoke again. Resolution 7 Gamma passes with near full agreement. Planet Earth's designation Sol 3 and its human species are now assets of the Galactic Accord. Occupation fleets will secure the system immediately. Compliance is required. Words felt like a physical blow. Enslaved. Just like that. Daniel saw the giant view screens. Alien ships, like dark metal knives, were already moving. They flew past Mars, heading straight for Earth. Lisa tried to speak for Earth, her voice strong. "This is wrong. We demand ... But the gray leader just waved a thin hand. A buzzing noise cut Lisa off. They weren't listening. Their message was clear. Shut up. Obey. Back on Earth, people watched the same awful pictures. Fear filled the cities. Then every screen changed. The woman known as Sovereign Heiress Thorn appeared. She ruled all the joined nations of Earth. She didn't look scared. She looked cold, like ice. Her eyes stared straight out at everyone. "People of Earth," she said, her voice calm but sharp. "You saw it. They voted. Every one of those other kinds of life out there, except one, raised their hand. They voted to put chains on us. They voted to make us slaves for their use." She paused, letting the terrible truth sink in. "They think we are weak. They think we will kneel." A tiny, hard smile touched her lips. "They are wrong. We do not choose chains. We choose the hammer. Operation Silent Anvil is now active. Stand firm. Stay strong." The screen went black. On the moon, deep inside a hidden base, Daniel Shaw heard her words. His hand shook, but not from fear. He reached out. His fingers moved over the glowing controls on his special panel. Lines of complex numbers and symbols filled his screen. He took a deep breath and pressed the main button. A low hum vibrated through the floor. Far above, giant dishes on the moon's surface turned silently, pointing out into the dark. Near Pluto, the Earth's spaceship Resolute floated like a shadow. Commander Lisa Perez watched the stars. Her face was still hard. She heard the Sovereign's order. She saw the alien ships on her screen, getting closer to Earth. "Helm," she said, her voice quiet, but clear. "Set course for Grid Echo 9. Deepest quiet running. Engines off. Go now." The Resolute turned silently, moving away from the sun into the emptiness. No lights flashed. No engine burned. On Earth, people waited. Some cried. Some held weapons ready. Some just stared at the sky, waiting for the alien ships to land. The alien fleets entered Earth's space. They formed a tight circle around the blue planet, blocking it off. They sent messages demanding Earth surrender its leaders and its defenses. Earth sent no messages back. No pleas, no arguments, no shouts of anger. After the vote, after the threats, after the Sovereign's cold promise, ... Earth went quiet. A deep, heavy silence fell over the whole planet. It was a silence that felt heavy, like a storm about to break. The galaxy expected cries, or surrender. All they got from Earth was nothing, just silence. The alien ships landed. Tall gray ones in shiny armor stepped onto the soil of New York. Rock-like creatures stomped through the ruins of Tokyo. Jellyfish beings floated over London. They expected fear. They expected humans to hide or beg. They were wrong. In New York, a man driving a giant construction machine suddenly turned it towards a group of gray soldiers. He smashed right into them before they could fire. In Tokyo, a woman hiding on a roof dropped a heavy pipe onto a rock creature's head. It stumbled, cracking the street. In London, teenagers threw homemade firebombs at the floating jellyfish, making them hiss and retreat into the air. Earth fought back. It's not with big armies at first, but like angry bees stinging everywhere. People used cars, tools, anything they could find. Messages flew secretly through old computer networks, telling people where the aliens were weak. The occupiers grew frustrated. Humans were not acting like slaves. Deep inside the moon base, Daniel Shaw watched screens filled with strange symbols and moving lines. Sweat dripped down his face. The giant dishes on the moon's surface were humming, gathering power. His machine was almost ready. He'd built it not to shoot lasers, but to push gravity itself in a very special way. He called it Silent Anvil. Ready, he whispered to himself. His finger hovered over the final button. He thought of his family down on Earth. He thought of the vote. He pressed it. A deep thrum vibrated through the moon rock. The dishes glowed faintly, unseen from Earth. They sent out invisible waves, not of sound, but of force, rippling out into space faster than light. Far beyond Pluto, the Earth spaceship Resolute floated silently. Commander Lisa Perez watched her instruments. A small light blinked on her screen. A signal from the moon. It was time. Her crew worked quickly, activating a special relay device Shaw had given them. It caught the moon's invisible waves and sent them out again much further, like throwing a stone into a still pond. The effect was not seen near Earth. It happened light years away across the galaxy. On the home world of the tall gray ones, a huge transport ship was about to leap between stars. Its engines flared bright blue. Then, without warning, the blue light twisted violently. The ship crumpled like paper and vanished in a silent flash. On a world of oceans, a floating city waited for supplies. The supply ship, halfway through its star jump, simply ceased to exist. On a desert planet, a network of communication towers suddenly went dark. No signals passed through. Across hundreds of worlds, starships trying to travel the quick way exploded. Wormholes snapped shut. Subspace radios filled with terrible screeching static, and then fell silent. The web that connected the galaxy, the web the aliens relied on for everything, began to unravel. On Earth, the alien commanders felt it first. Their long-range communicators buzzed, screamed, and died. No messages came in. None went out. They tried to call for help, for orders, for reinforcements. Nothing answered, just silence. Panic spread among the occupiers. Their leaders argued. Where was the fleet? Where was command? Why couldn't they jump away? They were trapped, cut off, alone. Back on the moon, Daniel watched his main screen. It showed a map of the galaxy. Little lights, representing star travel routes, were flickering out, one by one, then in groups. Whole sections of the map went dark. A slow, cold smile spread across his tired face. It was working. Silent Anvil was falling. High above Earth, the alien blockade ships sat uselessly. Their powerful engines were silent. They could not run. They could not fight beyond the solar system. They were stranded birds. Commander Lisa Perez saw the confusion on her sensors. The alien ships were drifting, their systems in chaos. Now she ordered the Resolute. For the first time in weeks, the ship's engines glowed. It moved not away, but towards the closest alien blockade ship. The Resolute was small, but it was moving. The alien ship, blind and crippled by the silent waves, didn't even see it coming. On Earth, Sovereign Heiress Thorne appeared on every screen again. Her face was calm, her eyes sharp as frozen steel. "They thought the hammer would fall on us," she said, her voice clear and hard. "They were wrong. The hammer fell on them. Their stars are silent. Their ships are broken. Their chains are dust." She paused, letting the meaning sink in for every human and every trapped alien listening. Earth is silent no more. We fight. Now. Across the planet, A roar went up, not of fear, but of rage and hope. The silent waiting was over. The hammer had fallen. The galaxy broke. The big alien ship near Pluto didn't see the Resolute coming. Its systems were confused by Daniel Shaw's silent waves. Commander Lisa Perez watched it grow large on her screen. "Target their main engine," she ordered, her voice steady. The Resolute fired a single missile. It flew straight and true. It slammed into the back of the huge alien ship. Bright fire exploded silently in the dark space. The alien ship shuddered, then started to drift, powerless. A cheer went up on the Resolute's small bridge. They had struck the first real blow. Down on Earth, the fighting changed. People saw the Sovereign's message. They heard about the Resolute's victory. Hope mixed with their anger. Human soldiers, no longer just hiding and hitting, came out in force. They used weapons taken from fallen aliens. In Berlin, soldiers rushed a group of tall gray ones guarding a landing craft. They fired strange energy guns, forcing the aliens back. In Shanghai, people used heavy cables to trip the big rock creatures. And others threw powerful grenades stolen from alien supply crates. The alien soldiers were scared now. Their leaders shouted orders, but the orders made no sense. No help was coming. They couldn't run away. Their powerful ships above Earth were useless, just floating metal. The tall gray ones looked up at the sky. Their eyes showed fear. They were trapped on a planet full of angry humans. Sovereign Eris Thorne watched the reports in her safe command room. Her advisor, Elias Vance, stood beside her. "It's working," Vance said. "They are breaking." Thorne nodded slowly. "They broke themselves," she replied. "They thought chains would hold us. They forgot we know how to break chains." "Send the order. Full counterattack. Every city, every town. Push them out." All over Earth, humans pushed. They attacked alien camps. They blew up parked landing ships. They surrounded groups of confused rock creatures and gray soldiers. The aliens fought back, but their hearts weren't in it anymore. They were alone, cut off, beaten not by bigger guns, but by silence. High above, the Resolute moved again. It flew past the broken alien ship near Pluto. It headed towards the inner solar system, towards Earth. Lisa Perez saw the signals. More alien ships were floating helplessly near Mars and Jupiter. "Find the command ship," she told her crew. "The biggest one, the one giving orders." On the moon, Daniel Shaw watched his screens. The map of the galaxy was dark, silent. Only little lights near Earth showed any activity. He saw the signals from the Resolute. He saw the reports from Earth's battles. A deep tiredness filled him, but also a cold satisfaction. His machine, Silent Anvil, had done its job. It had broken the galaxy to save Earth. Near Earth, the alien commanders knew they were losing. Their main command ship, a giant dark shape, floated nervously. They tried desperately to fix their broken communication systems. Nothing worked. Suddenly, alarms blared. Small, fast ship, the Resolute, was coming straight at them. It fired its small guns, peppering the giant ship's shields. It wasn't enough to destroy it, but it was enough to scare them. On Earth, the final pushes happened. In New York, human tanks rolled down streets, supported by soldiers firing captured alien rifles. The tall gray ones dropped their weapons and held up their thin hands. In Tokyo, the rock creatures were surrounded. They made deep rumbling sounds, then lowered their heavy arms. They surrendered. One by one, across the planet, alien forces stopped fighting. The giant alien command ship near Earth saw the signals from below. Their armies were giving up. Their blockade was broken. The Resolute buzzed around them like a dangerous insect. They had no choice. A shaky signal went out from the big ship, not using the broken starways, but simple radio. Hoping the humans below would hear. "We stop fighting," the alien voice said, filled with static and fear. "We surrender. Please, stop." The message reached Sovereign Eris Thorne. It reached Commander Lisa Perez on the Resolute. It reached Daniel Shaw on the moon. The aliens who came to enslave Earth were begging to stop the fight. The tables had turned completely. The galaxy was silent, and Earth was the only place making any noise. The noise of victory. Years passed. The silence Daniel Shaw had created spread out like a heavy blanket over the stars. On Earth, life slowly returned. Cities were rebuilt. People worked hard. The alien soldiers who surrendered were kept in guarded camps, far from their homes, which they could no longer reach. They became quiet prisoners, their pride gone. But out there, beyond the sun, the galaxy was dying. The quick paths between stars were broken. No ships could jump. Messages couldn't travel far. Worlds were cut off, alone in the dark. On the homeworld of the tall gray ones, machines stopped working. Factories closed. Food became scarce. People fought over scraps. Cities that once touched the sky fell into ruin. The same thing happened to the jellyfish people's ocean worlds. Their floating cities sank when no supplies came. The desert planet of the rock creatures dried up completely. Wars started over the last drops of water. Civilizations that took thousands of years to build crumbled in just a few. The great group of space nations, the Accord, was forgotten. There was no group anymore, only fear, hunger, and loneliness. They remembered Earth. They remembered the silence that started with the humans. They remembered how they had voted to chain them. Now, they needed the silence to end. One day, a strange signal reached the listening posts near Pluto. It was weak like a whisper. A ship was coming, not a warship. It was small, broken, barely moving. It limped into the solar system, engines sputtering, hull scarred and burnt. It didn't try to hide. It drifted towards Earth, sending the same weak signal over and over. Peace. Please. Hear us. The Resolute, now patrolling near Mars, intercepted it. Commander Lisa Perez looked at the screen. The ship was pitiful. Bring it in, she ordered. Under guard. Full weapons ready, just in case. Tractor beams gently pulled the crippled vessel towards Earth. The ship landed in a big, empty field surrounded by human soldiers and tanks. The hatch opened slowly. A ramp lowered, creaking. A single figure appeared. It was one of the tall gray beings, the kind that had led the vote. But it looked terrible. Its gray skin was loose and pale. Its eyes were huge, sunken, filled with pain. It wore ragged robes, not armor. It stumbled down the ramp, weak and thin. Guards led the being into a simple, clean room. Sovereign Heiress Thorne waited there, standing tall and straight. Daniel Shaw and Lisa Perez stood beside her. Elias Vance watched carefully. The gray being looked at them. Its gaze stopped on Thorne. It seemed to shrink even more. It didn't stand proud. It fell to its knees on the hard floor. Its thin body shook. When it spoke, its voice was a dry rasp, like stones rubbing together. Sovereign ... of Earth, it gasped. I am ... Kaelern. I speak for what is left ... of the Accord Council. It struggled to breathe. The silence you made. It broke everything. Tears, thick and dark, welled in its huge eyes. Our worlds ... are dying, starving, fighting like animals. The stars are dark roads now. Kaelern lifted its shaking hands, not in threat, but in desperate pleading. We were wrong, so wrong, we were blind, we're ... Arrogant, it lowered its head almost to the floor. We voted ... to enslave you. We deserve ... to your hate, but ... please. The word was a sob. Please. ... Sovereign ... we beg you. We plead with you. Stop the silence. Let the stars speak again. Let ships fly. Give us ... Give the galaxy ... mercy. The room was quiet. Kaelern stayed on the floor, trembling, weeping those dark tears. The mighty ones who had sentenced Earth to slavery were gone. Only this broken creature remained, kneeling in the dust, begging for the mercy it had never offered. The terrible cost of their vote lay bare in its ragged form and shattered voice. The silence had won.
Oh.
They needed it to end. The room stayed quiet after Kaelern stopped speaking. Only the sound of the broken alien's raspy breathing broke the silence. Yes. Sovereign Heiress Thorne looked down at the creature on the floor. Her face showed no pity. Commander Lisa Perez stood stiffly, her hand near her weapon. Daniel Shaw watched the screen showing the dying alien ship outside. Elias Vance shifted nervously. Vance spoke first. His voice was soft. Sovereign, you must think. The suffering out there. It is terrible. It's keeping the silence forever. It makes us like monsters. He looked at the weeping Kaelern. We are better than this. Daniel Shaw turned away from the screen. His eyes were tired. The machine, silent anvil. ... It worked too well. It broke everything. Vance is right. The effect must stop, but the knowledge ... that must stay. Only with us, forever. Lisa Perez shook her head. Mercy was hard. Mercy? They offered us none. Not a single one, except the furry ones who didn't vote. They came here to make us slaves. Strength kept us alive. Strength keeps us safe now. Mercy is a risk we cannot afford. Thorne listened. She didn't look at her advisors. Her cold eyes stayed fixed on Kaelern. The alien trembled under her stare. Finally, Thorne spoke. Her voice was like sharp ice cutting the air. Mercy. She let the word hang. Kaelern flinched. You speak of mercy only because you were beaten, only because you kneel in the dirt you made. She took a slow step forward. You voted every species. Every voice raised. You voted to chain every man, every woman, every child on this world. You offered them no mercy. It's no hope. Only slavery and death in the mines and fields for their children. Kaelern tried to speak, a weak croak, but Thorne's voice cut him off. Silence. The word cracked like a whip. Kaelern froze. You do not ask for mercy. You beg for survival. Because you finally understand the cost of your arrogance. You understand the weapon your vote forged. Thorne stopped directly in front of the kneeling alien. No. She looked down at him, not with anger, but with cold, absolute control. The silence ends. But it ends on our terms, by our hand, under our rules. She listed them slowly, each word a hammer blow. 1. Silent anvil stops, but only in stages. We control when. We control how fast the stars speak again. 2. Earth controls all travel between stars. The quick paths. The knowledge Daniel Shaw found. It stays here. We decide who flies. 3. The old group, the Accord, is dead. Gone. There will be a new way. Earth writes the rules. Every surviving species signs it. Earth is the center, the hub, the power for reparations, for generations. You pay food, materials, knowledge of your worlds. You pay for the chains you tried to put on us. She paused, letting the heavy weight of her words crush the alien. This is not mercy, Kaelern. This is justice, forged in the silence you forced upon us. You kneel not because we forgive. You kneel because you finally understand fear. You understand the power you've tried to break. Thorne turned away from him. She looked at Shaw. Daniel, begin stage 1. Let the silence lift, just a little. Let them hear hope, know exactly who holds it. Kaelern stayed on the floor, shaking. Relief mixed with terrible fear. They would live, perhaps. But they would live under human rule. Daniel Shaw walked back to his control panel on the moon. The screen showed the dark galaxy map. He thought of the dying worlds. He thought of the vote. He thought of Thorne's cold eyes. His finger touched the screen. He entered a long code. Soft chime sounded. On the giant map, one small, distant star cluster flickered. Then, a single thin line of light appeared, connecting to stars. Very faint, very slow. The silence had begun to break. Not with a shout, but with a whisper controlled by human hands. The weight of all surviving life in the galaxy now rested firmly and without pity on human shoulders. Shaw watched the thin line of light. It was the first thread in a new web. A web Earth would weave. The lesson had been delivered. The new galaxy had begun.